And I went on this crazy long run, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. I like came up with the whole thing on the run. I've been eating this oatmeal every morning. Those guys told me to do it.
Yeah.
And I've been adding all sorts of different shit to it. And I was like, man, if I can figure out how to get my oatmeal concoction into a pouch, this is what's fueled my body. Like, there is nothing more authentic to me than the thing that I start my day with every single day, this positive nutritional win that just gave me confidence, that just gave me this bump of like, you know, I guess like, you know, it's at that point for me, it was like I was getting dopamine hits from like doing the good things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, if I can figure out how to get this shit into a pouch, not only do I have a business that I can just authentically stand behind because I know this has fueled me and I love it and I look forward to it every day, but I'll be able to tell my story in a real way.
An entrepreneur straight out of New York City, Michael Chernow. What's cracking?
And so they walk in, they sit down at the bar, they have a couple drinks, and then they go into the restaurant to eat. And like an hour later, the dudes leave. And like 15 minutes later, Donna and Linda come sit down at the bar.
Donna and Linda, that's my wife's name and her sister's name.
Crazy.
What's your wife's name, Donna?
Donna.
So is mine.
Yeah. I thought I heard you say
Yeah,
that
me too.
at the
I was
very
going to say
beginning.
something, but then I didn't want to derail.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Well, I spilled the beans on this, but already. But you know, so they're sitting at the bar, and like.
How old are you at the time?
24.
Okay.
24.
So like a year into
just
writing.
under a year.
Okay.
Just under a year. It was like, so I know the exact date because it's 2 days before her birthday. It's April 23rd, 2005. And
that's the date that you laid eyes on your wife?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So she's there and they're hanging out and like they're like being flirty. And I'm like, is this happening right now? Like, is this? I mean, I'm telling you, like, I mean, when my wife she's like unbelievably beautiful, and I'm so grateful that I still get like I'm with my wife 20 fucking years. Wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's so beautiful and she's my angel. She's anyway, we're talking and I'm like, and so they're there for like 2-3 hours and they're getting pretty tipsy,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, it's my birthday in a couple of days. And I'm like, all right, that's it. I got it.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm going for it.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm taking you out for your birthday. And she looks at me and she goes, do you honestly think that I don't have plans for my birthday? And I was like,
savage.
Yeah, I was like, well, what are you doing tomorrow night? And she's like, I'm not sure yet. I was like, all right, well, I'm not working. Let me take you out at 10 o'clock and we'll go to my favorite restaurant and I'm going to get you the best chocolate cake in New York at midnight. So I'll be able to celebrate your birthday with you. And she was like, clever.
Clutch.
You know, she was like, all right, let's do it. And I picked her up the next day and we had the most amazing date. And then she straight ghosted me for a couple of weeks. Nothing, not a peep, not a word, just, and I was like, damn, I knew it was too good.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, she texted me and she was like, hey, I'm at this restaurant. If you're around, come by. And that was that, you know,
You're
came,
like,
yeah, I'm like, out. But yeah, she, you know, so that happened.
Did
right?
she play that one on purpose like that, the 2 weeks kind of thing?
Did she?
Yeah.
No, that dude
yeah, she probably was breaking it off with her.
Yeah.
And was like,
oh, she was with that dude.
She was with one of those dudes.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it wasn't her
Like,
boyfriend,
right.
but they were seeing each other for a few months, you know?
Yeah.
And so but you know, it was interesting because when we met, when we started dating, you know, I told her I was so at this point fixated on Muay Thai kickboxing. Like it became my life. Mm-hmm. I was convinced I was going to be a professional kickboxer. Like that was how much I took it. Like I was just in it and I wanted to do it. I loved it. I loved getting my ass kicked. You know, I really did. And like, I learned so much in the rings of Muay Thai, like so much. And I told her, I was like, look, you know, my life right now is sobriety, 2 meetings a day, training for 2 to 3 hours a day, and work. And like, I need to do that because I've got a lot of shit, you know? And so if you can hang with that, I'm like.
When did you tell her this? First date?
No.
Second date?
No. No.
You waited a little bit after.
Yeah.
I waited a little bit. Like once I felt like this was like getting somewhere, I was like, okay.
Let me lay it all out.
Yeah. Like not only is she beautiful, not only is she like one of the coolest people, like I want to spend time with her all the time.
Yeah.
And it was mutual, right? And I was like, okay, this could go somewhere. I still couldn't believe it because like, you know, she's fucking 3 inches taller than me and, you know, just like traveling around the world.
Hear that, Emily?
Emily, it's possible.
Hear that? There's two shorter guys sitting in the room right now with tall women. Huh? Don't put your sights so high. Look down a little bit, Emily. Look down a little bit. All right? Us short guys, you know, we
something about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So she, you know, but I was still like, okay, you know, I just want to be real with her, you know, because I'm just vulnerable and I'm just like, I'm like basically addicted to training, you know, which you know, people will say, you know, like, you just replaced an addiction. And I'm like, listen, I would much rather be addicted to kickboxing than addicted to like smoking crack and like trying to hook up with your girlfriend. You know what I mean?
And getting again possibly put in my mouth every other week.
Right.
So pick your poison.
Yeah. So she was like, I'm in, you know, I got patience and that was that. And so, you know, I went all in with her, you know, and my sponsor, I told my sponsor and I'm like, dude, I met the woman of my dreams. Like I am fucking in love with this girl. Like this is like probably 6 or 8 weeks in maybe.
Yeah.
And my sponsor was like, slow it down, my dude. Like you went to LA, you thought you knew everything. You came back, you know, you meet a girl. Yeah, she's beautiful, but like, you know, you don't know what you know. You don't know what you think you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hear you, but I'm not listening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was like, this is like, I'm going in all in here. And I called my grandfather like 3 months in. So another funny story, you know, like once you get into the program, like you become spiritual and all sorts of things start happening. All sorts of stories happen, you know, but I started seeing 11:11 like every single day, morning and night. I just started seeing it. And I started after like probably 2 weeks of seeing it every day. I was like, all right, this is weird. Like and I had never seen that number before, like noticing that I was seeing it. So I started seeing it, and then basically for like 2 months straight, I saw it every single day, and I started writing about it in my 10 step. And I was like, I'm seeing the fucking 11:11. Like I'm seeing the fucking 11:11. And then I basically told Donna, like, I was like, look, you know, you might think this is weird, but I was like, I've been seeing this 11:11, and I just know it has something to do with you. And I was like, I'm not getting a tattoo of you, but I'm putting 11:11 across my whole fucking stomach.
Oh my God.
And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I just know that like this is something special. And, you know, and so she came with me, and I just got my stomach blasted, you know, with this 11:11. And that's kind of when I knew that I was like, all right.
Such addict behavior.
Totally.
Love it.
You know what's funny?
Like
though?
Legit.
Totally.
A lot of the stuff he's talking
bullshit.
about is I can really relate.
Yeah.
11:11 is the number that I see all the time, and I literally screenshot it all the time and send it to my wife and tell her to make a wish.
So I've been making the exact same wish on 11:11 since the day, probably like the day I got it tattooed on me. And I've never said that wish to anybody. Nobody knows what that wish is, but I say it every single time. And if I'm just being real here, that wish has come true over and over and over and over and over again. It's weird. But so, you know, I'm deeply into the Muay Thai, and then I go out to Thailand, and I'm training Muay Thai in Thailand, and I'm fucking fighting
all
with these
in.
dudes.
Yeah.
And so that was 10 years, right, of my life.
Oh my goodness. Like, oh wow.
Deep into it. And
are you married at this point?
So at 3 months, when I told my grandfather, hey, I'm in love with this girl, and I think I want to marry her, you know. And he was like, whoa, buddy.
Slow down.
And I was like, well, give me some advice. Like, what do I do? I didn't have I had no blueprint.
Yeah,
my there was not like, I couldn't look back at my parents and be like, oh, that's a healthy relationship. Yeah. So my grandfather was like, do you live with her? And I was like, well, she kind of sleeps at my apartment every night. He's like, nah. He's like, get an apartment with her. And if you feel the same way you do right now in a year, you got my blessing. Like, go for it, And so that night, I was like, hey, babe, like, you've got a little apartment on Thompson Street. I've got this shitty apartment here with roommates. Like, let's get an apartment together. And we did. And a year later, or 11 months later, actually, I called up my grandfather and I'm like, dude, I love this woman more than anything on the planet. Like, I really do. And I'm ready, And he was like, go for it, dude. And so I asked her to marry me that summer. And we got married a year later, and she's my fucking best friend. And, I love her with every cell in my body to the end of days. And so all these amazing things started happening in my life. Like I kind of call it the 3 C's. Commitment is like the hardest part of this sobriety thing, right? Like, but what I started to understand was that addicts or alcoholics in action, active alcoholics, nobody can kind of draw this correlation unless you've been there, but you are the most committed, dedicated, loyal motherfucker on the planet. Like, you will do anything. You will rob, you will steal, you will commit crime, you will cross everyone and anyone and do other funky shit to get that next one. Anything. You are willing and ready to just do anything it takes to get what you want. Now, you strip away the drugs and the alcohol, that loyalty, that commitment, that dedication, that like honor to the thing that you want still is there. You know how to do that, right? And so not all alcoholics that get sober are able to channel that in a positive way, but definitely a lot of them, right? Like, there are a lot of like unbelievably successful people in recovery.
Yes.
Like, unbelievably doing extraordinary things. So I just like, I kind of clicked in on that, not knowing that was a thing, but I just figured out that like the commitment piece is the hardest part, but I'm good at committing. And then what I learned about commitment is like, you do the same thing over and over again, day in and day out, you build confidence, right? Like, commitment breeds confidence. And you can look at it and say, oh, you eat the same breakfast, you eat the same lunch, you eat the same dinner, you train, you go to the gym, you go to bed at the same time, you wake up at the same time. Like, some people would be like, that's kind of boring, that's kind of robotic. And I'm like, no, I get better and better every fucking time. Like, it is not the same. Like, it is different. Like, every time I reflect back, doing the same exact thing, I'm like, there's growth here, there's growth here, there's growth here. Anybody who's great at anything is a commitment assassin. Mm-hmm. Anybody, because that's what it takes. So commitment breeds confidence. Confidence ultimately breeds courage, and like, they write books about people with courage, right? Like, courage is like the difference between the good and the great. It's just like how willing are you to believe in yourself? And I learned all of that in Muay Thai and in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, I really did, and I owe my life to it, right? And so when I was 25 or 26, I decided I was going to go back to school, and I went to school to learn to get my chef's culinary degree. And while I was there, Cornell was putting together a program with my culinary school for the restaurant management program that they have at Cornell, which is the best hospitality program in the country, arguably in the world. And at that point, I kind of knew that I was going to be in the restaurant world, and I kind of had this dream that I was going to have my own joint. And so I did both of those programs, and I graduated when I was 27, 28, and I was still working at Frank Restaurant.
Wow.
At that point I was married, and I was like, oh, the next step, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to open up a restaurant, And I had like no fear about it, which was weird.
And by the way, for anyone that's listening, being in the restaurant business and owning your own restaurant is like, I think 5% even last in their like first year or something like that.
Yeah. 90% die within the first, 12 months. And so I came up with this idea, and I wrote a business plan about it. I called it the Meatball Shop, and I put a business plan in front of every single regular that came into that restaurant. And it was a super regular spot. And these dudes and gals have seen me go from this crazy 20-year-old kid to dark 23-year-old kid to getting his shit together, to finding him, getting married, to going back to school. So I was there for 8 years, and these people would come in there 2, 3, 4 times a week. And they watched me turn into this person. And 14 of them wrote me a check for $25,000 each.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So they funded my first restaurant, and I opened up a restaurant right in the neighborhood that I caused the most trouble in, right in the center of the Lower East Side, and small little joint called the Meatball Shop, and we sold meatballs and sides, like that was our thing. And we fucking crushed it. It was crazy. Like we thought we were going to do like about $1 million in our first year, and we did 4 million. Wow. We paid back our investors in 6 months. And one of those investors was like, okay, you guys are onto something. He was like, my bank account's your bank account. Go for it. Like, and you want to open up 5, 10 more of these things, like I commit. And Daniel and I looked at each other and we were like, oh shit, this is real, right? Like we were cooking meatballs on Jay Leno, Jimmy Fallon, Chelsea
oh my
Handler.
Gosh.
I mean, Good Morning America multiple times, the Today Show. Like it was nuts. It was nuts. And I'm just here to say, I'm not saying it for like a,
sure.
I'm saying it like this shit is possible. This shit is possible from a dude who was seconds away from death through heroin and spent 10 years abusing my body and feeling like that I was useless and a piece of shit and no one's business. And, to like this dude who like committed to just one fucking thing. I committed to one fucking thing a day at a time. And I was able to just build this thing. And so we opened up 5 more of these things over the next few years. And
all in New York?
All in New York. And then I wanted to I wanted to reap some of the benefits. And I put $20,000 of my own money into this thing. That was like all I had, And I was like, I want to sell some of my equity so I can see if I can open up another one of these restaurants. And Daniel and I were kind of bumping heads on where to take it out of market. And, we had a massive offer to buy the company, and it was going to change my life like in an unbelievably drastic way. And I couldn't convince him and the other guys to do it. So I was like, all right, let me go see if I can crank one of these things out solo. And so I sold equity, and I like that changed my life financially, right? Couldn't believe that happened, And so then I said, fuck it, I've got like this confidence now, and I'm like, I'm going to go out on my own and I'm going to do another one. And I opened up a sustainable seafood spot called Seymour's. And I did the same thing. I opened it up, smashed it, and it was like New York Magazine, #1 restaurant in New York City for like 9 months in a row. And we, same thing, cooking fish tacos and doing all this shit on TV. And I got a TV show called Food Porn, and traveled around the country and shot a lot of TV, shot like, just an ungodly amount of TV. And I took on a partner because the TV show was like taking a lot of my time. And so I was like, all right, I need a partner who understands how to scale restaurants. Mm-hmm. And so this dude, Jay Wainwright, he was leading this brand, Le Pen Quotidien. They've got thousands of restaurants, and this guy opened up like himself with teams, of course, but he opened up over 1,000 restaurants. And he had fallen in love with Seymour's, and he was like, I'm in. If you want someone to scale this thing with you, I'm in. So I brought him on as my partner, and 4 years in, I told him, I was like, hey, like if we can build this thing to 5 to 6 restaurants, I'd probably want to sell some equity and go create another one, because I love that part of it. I love the creative part of it. I love kicking indoors,
Yeah. I
don't love being the day-to-day guy, following up with people and being a project manager. I'm the worst project manager. And so, I sold equity there, but like all the while I went from like for me, you know, why I also said in the beginning, like how important fitness was in my life, you know, like it was 10 years of Muay Thai, and then I got into endurance running, and I was running these crazy long races. And then someone said to me in 2018, hey, have you ever thought about bodybuilding? And I'm like, bodybuilding? I'm like, I'm 160 pounds. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, and they were like, well, you kind of got a frame for it. Like, you should try men's physique bodybuilding. And she was a bikini bodybuilder, and she put the seed in my head. And I went home that night, and I like hired a coach, and for the next 5 years, I just dove into it, you know, and I ended up getting my pro card and competing as a pro. And my wife thought I was crazy. My business partner was like, "You are a psycho," and I was just like, "I'm just doing the next right thing, you know, like I'm just doing what I think is right, you know, for my life." And I needed to chase after those things. And anyway, 2019, I sold a bunch of equity at Seymour's, and the pandemic hit right after I did that. And so I got really lucky timing wise there. This is all because I'm sober, by the way.
Yeah.
Like there is nothing available in my life. Zero. Like not a damn thing. Not a wife, not kids, not fitness, not business, not anything without sobriety. Just would not be possible, you know? And so anyway, 5 years ago, I had to make a decision because the pandemic hit. Yep. And no one was going to restaurants, right? Totally. And I kind of looked at it and I was like, holy shit, like my career is over.
Yeah.
You know, like who knows how long this is going to last. People were dying by the hundreds of thousands, you know, I was like, oh my God, this is a real thing. And all the restaurants in New York were shut down. Mm-hmm. So I had to think about what I was going to do. And I knew that my true passion was aligned with this idea of wellness. Like I just knew that like being in restaurants all the time is something that I loved. I felt like I was good at, but really for the next chapter of my life, if I have an opportunity to step out of this like hardcore grind business, you know, if I can get out of this business and create another avenue for myself to be able to have dinner with my family every night and breakfast with them and like be able to like, you know, in that first year of the pandemic, like I was like so close with my family. Like we moved into this house upstate. And anyway, I was like, what am I going to do? And I went on this crazy long run and I was like, oh my God, this is it. I like came up with the whole thing on the run. I've been eating this oatmeal every morning. Those guys told me to do it.
Yeah.
And I've been adding all sorts of different shit to it. And I was like, man, if I can figure out how to get my oatmeal concoction into a pouch, this is what's fueled my body. Like there is nothing more authentic to me than the thing that I start my day with every single day, this positive nutritional win that just gave me confidence, that just gave me this bump of like, you know, I guess like, you know, it's at that point for me, it was like I was getting dopamine hits from like doing the good things. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, if I can figure out how to get this shit into a pouch, not only do I have a business that I can just authentically stand behind because I know this has fueled me and I love it and I look forward to it every day, but I'll be able to tell my story in a real way. Mm-hmm. It was harder for me to tell this story in the world of restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like being a restaurateur in New York City, nobody wants to hear about your sobriety story. No. Nobody wants to hear about like, you know, your fucking God shit.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, just give me a meatball and a fish taco. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Hungry right now.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, if I can combine these two things, like my passion for wellness and my passion for nutrition and fitness and sobriety and food, like I think I can do something special. And that was that. I came home. I told my wife what I was going to do. I was like, babe, I'm starting this oatmeal brand. She was like, what? I was like, I'm doing it. I just got this feeling. And so I came up with the name Creatures of Habit. And I'm a creature of habit to the T. Like I find something that works that I like, I am doing it. I'm doing it forever. Like that plan that those dudes wrote me, I'm still doing it. My life is not, you know, there's been awesome shit in my life, but like my life has not strayed far from that plan, that structured plan. So I opened up a bank account, I put some money into it, and I spent a year working on getting this oatmeal concoction put together. And after a year, I did it. and I knew nothing about this business, but I'm an alcoholic. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to fucking do it. And that's what like anybody listening, like, I know this might sound corny, but I'm just telling you, like, without drugs and alcohol in my system, I am capable of doing anything I want to do. Anything. Like, I believe that. I really do. And so I did it, and I came up with the brand Creatures of Habit. The product is called Meal One. I got everything I wanted to get into it. It's this overnight oatmeal with 30 grams of protein and chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, vitamin D3, probiotic, digestive enzymes. It's so easy to make, and it's like this full satiating meal. And I just put this cool, like, in your face brand on it, and I pitched it to Gary Vee.
Oh my God!
And I was like, Gary, I just came up with this idea, and I got this oatmeal, and I got this cool little apparel line that I'm going to launch with. It's this little capsule collection. And I had no idea what he was going to say, but he was like, whoa. He was like, that's Kith meets Quaker. Let's fucking go. And he wrote the first check, and then he brought in a bunch of people.
Wow.
And, God has been so good to me. Like, just God has just shown up in so many ways in my life, like, he's just shown up. He's just shown up, And, so, I just celebrated we just did 3 years. We're 3 years in, and we've got this oatmeal, and it's kicking ass. And we have this sleep support hot chocolate without melatonin. So it's like this really delicious, like, cup of hot chocolate that helps you relax and, get ready for bed. We got a protein bar coming out next, and I'm able to really do the thing that I wanted to do, which was basically have a product that I really stand behind that will allow me to tell my story.
Totally.
And so last year I started I partnered with a charity organization, and we raised a whole bunch of money in this event called We'll Wear the Weight. And we partnered with this foundation called Release Recovery. And they've got really amazing, deep connections with treatment facilities around the country where they're able to get these sponsorships where, a treatment facility would charge 40 or 50 grand for a month. They're getting it for a freaking big discount. And so I connected with Zach, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna use my platform to try to get addicts and alcoholics that are struggling, who want treatment, into treatment. I want to pay for everything. And he was like, let's go. So I created this event where we all wore weight vests. I did a custom weight vest with GoRuck. GoRuck got behind it, and a whole bunch of people showed up to New York, and we rucked all of the bridges from Brooklyn to Manhattan, 3 bridges, and we did this ruck, and we raised a shit ton of money, and I was able to get people off the street, and we paid for their whole entire experience. I'm still paying for some of their outpatient stuff, and they're all sober. It's crazy. They're all still sober, and so we just finished in October. We had the second annual one, and we're gonna do it all over again, and I'll go on I've also kind of, like, in the program, they're pretty, I think it's loosened up a little bit, but people used to give me shit.
Oh yeah.
About talking about my sobriety, talking about.
Oh, in AA? Yeah, they've loosened. I mean, they've loosened up.
Mm-hmm.
No one's saying that you're not a member.
So here, the truth of the matter is that we're allowed to talk about our sobriety as much as we want to talk about our sobriety. The tradition really just states that we don't represent Alcoholics Anonymous to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm not out here saying, hey, I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Usually I'll just say I'm actually more of a member of Narcotics Anonymous, but just where I got sober. Actually, I would say clean if I was actually speaking correctly. But yeah, it's like we can recover out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
your experience, you're talking about your own personal experience and what you do. Mm-hmm. You're a creature of habit. So those habits are having to be 12. So, you know what I mean? Or at least, like, that's how I looked at it at first too, because it was a big thing for, I had to talk, I talked to my sponsor before, like, because she was getting flack from, like, old school because she's older than I am. So obviously her sponsors are older than her. So a lot of like the older.
Yo, quiet her down. Quiet.
Yeah. And so yeah, she's getting a little too loud over there. But now I look at it very, very differently. Where it's like, as long as like I'm not talking about people that I see in my meetings or anything that I go attend, and I'm not saying that I'm a member of any type of organization. I just say what I use, what I do.
I mean, I don't even know if there's a problem with you saying that you're a member. You know, there's so much interpretation, and I've worked the traditions, like I know the traditions, but I'm not out here representing. When I'm on this microphone, I'm representing my own opinions.
Yeah.
And I'll be clear about that. These are not the opinions of Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. But if I continue being anonymous about my recovery, people won't know that recovery exists.
100%.
And in today's day and age, if I don't let them know, people will die.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
I mean, I don't know if you know why this podcast exists. It exists because I lost my son-in-law to fentanyl.
I remember hearing that.
On 9/11 of 2022, you know, my 21-year-old, she's almost 24 now, but she at 21 years old, she found the love of her life dead from fentanyl. And
sorry about that, man.
Thank you. I decided to, like, you know, God put it on my heart to be the voice for the people that have lost their lives. And then I started to see this movement across Instagram called Recover Out Loud. And I was like, dude, I'm down with that now. Like, I'm into that because I want people like you telling a story, man, of coming from nothing. Like my story's different, but I ended up homeless for like 5 years. And I've built a multi-million-dollar business since I've been, you know, in recovery. Like, I want people to know that you're capable of doing that you can live a life beyond anything I could have ever imagined.
So far beyond.
So far
And
there's
beyond.
a solution.
And I was the guy in
You're not
high
a
school.
unique unicorn.
No
one is.
I mean, it's just,
we're all the same. Grew up differently, different stories.
Different. So I come from a really, my dad's a doctor and my mom's a nurse. And I ended up homeless. You know?
Shit doesn't discriminate.
Not at all. At all. Doesn't matter.
I ended up being a homeless drug dealer who was terrible at selling drugs because I did too many of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, I kind of made a decision too, where every time I share about my story, which now is a lot, the amount of DMs I get, the amount of people that are like, hey, you know, honestly, right on the car ride over here, I get a text message from a childhood friend. And he writes in the text, hey, you always told me to call you if it's getting real bad. It's gotten real bad. So I call him and I'm like, what's up? Like, where you at? And he couldn't even say a sentence. He was so fucking high and drunk. And so I was like, okay, you're calling me. Like, that's amazing. It's amazing, dude. I was like, be proud of the fact that you are on a call with me right now. I was like, and he had, he'd been in and out of treatment. And I was like, dude, he's like, I can't go to treatment. I was like, you don't need to go to treatment. I was like, you already been down that road. I was like, all I'm going to ask you to do is let me help you get into a detox. Like, let me just help you get into a detox. Are you ready to go today? He's like, I'll do it. You know, and I called up the people at Release Recovery. I'm like, yo, I need to get an old friend into detox. Boom. Things start happening. The next thing you know, they're picking him up tonight, you know? Like, if I'm not vocal about my story, if I'm not out there just being like, hey, you know, I am a living, breathing example of someone who has experienced a really, really dark place, did not think there was any light at the end of the tunnel, and there was no hope for me. I'm just here to say, if that's you right now, you're wrong. Like, you are wrong. Like, if you're listening right now and that's where you're at, I promise you, with every cell in my body, all my heart, you're wrong. You're just wrong.
Well, and then what's so beautiful about it is, one, that they can look at your story and see how you started or even became sober really at a young age, 23, still sober now, and look at all of the beautiful things that you have done in your life, which is clearly, obviously I didn't know you then and just met you now, but those are two different people.
100%.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a daily reprieve, and that other person is still in there wanting to kill you every day. But you know the tools and you know how to combat that every single day to live the life beyond your wildest dreams. And look at the amount of times within your sobriety in the 20 years of continuous pivoting from like 10 years of
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai to then restaurant to going to school to being a chef. Like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden married, you have kids, beautiful spouse, clearly, because we all know, like, having a partner that is willing to put up with our nonsense and also be supportive is huge. So shout out to her for allowing you to have those ideas and then, like, fuck, go run, you know, do it, create it.
So supportive.
Super.
The only thing that I didn't talk about that I think is also important to mention is being a dad, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I was so scared
to
have kids. I was so scared because, you know, you hear the story, right? Like,
generational curse.
Yeah. Like, you know, I'm going to, I don't know what to do. You know, like, am I going to understand how to love these kids? You know, like, is that something that's possible for me? You know, I know now through some deep work that I've done that all the decisions that I've made, good and bad, have been subconsciously in an attempt to get my father to love me. All of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
All the decisions.
Yeah.
I wanted my father to just give me a hug and say, dude, I love you. And I was so scared. And I'm just here to say that, like, what I learned through the process of becoming a father, you don't have to be shown how to love. Like, you don't have to be shown. So, like, you can have this, like we are love kind of beings, you know what I mean? Like, we are all wired to
totally
want to love and be loved. And it's a choice, you know? And I've been blessed with these kids, you know, like I have these two boys that are just, I love them. Like, I could feel the love. I love them so much. And, you know, it's like, it's just a blessing, you know, like, again, like, I would not have any of this shit. Nothing. I owe it all. I really do. Now, like, I did the work, you know, I got to give myself credit, you know, but the only thing that I know to be true is that, like, there's only one thing that I've got to do perfectly in my life. Only one thing. And that's just to get back up. That's the only thing. Because I'm going to fail. It's going to hurt.
Sure.
Life is painful. Life is hard, especially if you're trying to do hard things. And, you know, my son's karate teacher said some really profound shit to a group of 5-year-old kids, you know. We do karate, and this karate teacher who I've now become really good friends with, he started this karate school in pandemic in his basement of his house, and he had these, like, Japanese you know, like posters on his wall in the karate studio, and he goes, "Hey guys, any of you guys know what these things say?" And they were all like, yeah, we know. They were like, "It says karate." And he was like, "No." He goes, "It says 7 down, 8 up." And one of the kids was like, "What do you mean 7 down, 8 up?" He goes, "You fall down 7 times, you get up 8. You fall down 10 times, you get up 11. You fall down 100 times, you get up 101. You fall down 5,000 times, you get up 5,001. And I was like, man, like, that's it, you know? Like, that's just it, right? Like, this shit ain't, it's hard, but if all you know, if what you know, all I know is that, like, I can attempt anything as long as I'm willing to just get back up when I fail. because I failed so many times, you know, and
you know why you can get back up though?
Tell me.
Your 3 C's. Because of all of those 3, it gives you the last one you mentioned, courage. And it's because you built off of those habits, the daily disciplines, the daily structure, the daily wins, from the oatmeal to the runs, to the working out, to the being in the gym with your first dude for 2 hours. Those are building that's the esteemable acts, which then gives you the confidence, which then gives you the courage to go in and press on and to get the fuck back up. Because like you said, for sure, and we've witnessed it amongst other people and then with ourselves, like when you're doing those things, you're creating a beast in a good way. Because then, you know, like the resilience that an addict has when it's put towards something positive, good luck stopping that.
Totally.
Because you're created a savage, and have fun with that.
Right.
Because they're a stud.
I mean, that's basically, I think, you nailed it. Like, I think that's it, right? Like, all you got to do is commit to that one thing, which is not drink and use drugs, and just know that you're going to fucking fail, and it's going to suck, and it's going to hurt, and there's going to be moments that, like, you just don't think there's a way out. But the only other thing I would say is patience and endurance are, like, you know, saving grace for me a lot of time. Sure. You know, where I just know, I'm like, yo, man, most people quit.
Oh yeah,
most people quit.
He always says it all the time. Don't quit before the miracle happens.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of my, I have like 4 keys to success, especially like in business and in life. And I took the one from Alcoholics Anonymous, man. And I was sitting in a meeting in my early days back in the 1900s, the 1990s. You know, I went to, really, it was like 1990.
It's true, it is the 1900s.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what my kids say. I guess. You know, I have kids, they call it the 1900s. None of my kids were born in the 1900s. They were all born in the 2000s.
Yeah.
But they always told you in Alcoholics Anonymous, don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle happens. So in business and in life, it's just a good life lesson to hold on to. Don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle happens. Most people in business quit right before that. If you just hold on a little bit longer.
Because it's hard.
But you got to be aware, right? You got to be like, you could be out of money, and that person the next day might be the person that you run into that is the guy that's going to take it to the next to the level for you.
I could not.
I mean, just like keep thinking about your story right now. Like, how in the hell do you get a hold of Gary Vee? You just call him up? No.
Well, it's probably from all the relationships. You being in the restaurant business, Gary Vee's in New York. You were 8 years in the game as a bartender at Frank's. Then you went to school, culinary. Then you have a business plan. Then you're sitting in front of some, I'm sure, heavy hitters, because I'm not writing you a check for $25K sitting at your bar, you know? So you're talking to these people that are regulars. They see this guy. You don't think word gets out. And Gary Vee is obviously, you know, running and gunning in New York for a long time in that, like, realm.
I'll tell you how.
It's nuts.
Straight up courage.
That too.
Like, can I just take a quick run to the bathroom?
Oh my God, yeah.
2 seconds.
For sure.
I want to tell that story.
Yeah.
Those are amazing dogs.
This one will eat you.
Yeah.
It's only. All right.
So anyway, are we can we
back
go
from
right
the
back in?
Back from the pee break.
Yeah. So Gary, in 2017 or 18, he launched a wine brand called Empathy Wines. And I had a couple of mutual friends, you know, with him, but I had never met him before.
Because he started in the restaurant business, right?
He started in the wine business.
Wine or something.
His dad had a wine store in Jersey.
Yeah. Okay, but in that realm of like restaurant /
food and beverage.
Yes,
yep,
food and beverage.
Totally. He became like a wine expert. Yeah. Anyway, he launched this wine brand called Empathy Wines, the first like direct-to-consumer wine business. And when he launched that, you know, I was like, I'm gonna get into his head here. I'm gonna do, you know, I had 12 restaurants in New York at that point, and I DM'd him. I was like, hey,
yeah,
man.
Let me shoot my shot.
Yeah. I was like, hey, dude, like, I got 12 restaurants in New York City. I don't know if you've heard of them. Meatball Shop and Seymour's. I don't think you're selling wine at any restaurants, but I would love to be the guy to like launch Empathy Wines in the restaurant world in New York City. And the dude got right back, and he was like, coming to the office. And so I sat down with him, and I, he was like, well, what's your story, dude? And I gave him my story, and he was like, hey, Nick, get the podcast studio set up. And we went right into Ask Gary Vee podcast right there, boom, right on the spot. And he put me on the podcast right away. And I sold a shit ton of wine for the dude. And that's when, and so when I knew that I had this brand in a business that I just did not have any idea how to operate in, but I was just like, I had this sort of like, this like no matter what kind of mindset, like I'm just going to do it because I know I want to do it, and I'm going to learn as I go. And I've been winging it to date, I'm fucking winging this thing, like I'm just winging it. I am, and I think if you ask most entrepreneurs,
I think everybody, we're
all winging it.
Yeah.
I'm still winging it 22 years later.
Yeah. Winging it.
Totally.
And so, that's how I met Gary.
That's incredible. That's an incredible story.
I have to tell you.
I love that.
Something I really like Gary Vee, but I have to tell you a funny story because like we just got like invited down to the Aspire tour by Tim Story one day, and because he was on, and because they just wanted her down at the Aspire tour, so it was like, hell yeah, I'm coming. Backstage VIP, all this cool stuff, right? And it's a cool tour and everything. But Gary Vee was the last speaker or second to the last speaker. Second to the last speaker. And man, of all the speakers, of all the stuff, the fluffy stuff that all the speakers do, he was so cool and calm, and he walked onto the stage and he had one hand in his pocket like this and just talked. And then a little bit later, he just walked over to this side of the stage and just kept on talking. No, nothing flashy, no flash, but was the best of all of them by far.
Yeah, he is.
I was like glued the whole time.
He is not only a good friend at this point, and like my biggest supporter, but the dude is exactly the dude that he says he is. And sometimes people are like, oh, he's a little too much, and I'm like, you can hate on a guy that just speaks his mind and like takes a chance at everything that comes out of his mouth. The dude is just taking a risk. He's just taking a chance. He's like, this is what I believe it if you want. This is how I see it, and fuck the bullshit, stop caring what other people think
completely, and go balls to the wall.
And I love him for that. And I don't ask a lot of him, because I just know how busy the dude is.
Sure.
But I'm here to tell you, anytime and every time I have, he's shown up. And
that's probably why he shows up too, is because you're not annoying. Like asking because a lot of the times people will ask certain individuals like a Gary Vee who can offer a lot, whether it's mentorship or financial gain or helping in some type of aspect, partnering, whatever it may be, and you're wasting his time. Time is money, and time is everything that is.
Time is actually more valuable than money.
Totally.
And time is money when it comes to guys that are like making money on the second to minute realm. But also, you're right. Time is more valuable, or money. No, what? Time is more valuable than money. Yeah. But that's why he answers you, is because you don't hit him with the nonsense.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. And I also think that, like, I also am just like also down to just be real. Yeah. Like I don't
pussyfoot around what it is.
I just don't sugarcoat shit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like, what do you need? Yeah. What do you need help on? Yeah. Say it how it is.
Quick, boom.
Communication is key in every relationship, whether it's business or your marriage, a friendship, If you're able to use your words and say what you really need or what you really feeling or what you really want, whoever you're talking to is going to understand that crystal clear.
Yeah, hopefully. And one other thing that I would also just say, like a really interesting tactic for getting into the ears of people that you want to get in front of, like, just because you want to do something, like if you're like, hey, how can I get close to this person, or how can I get on this person's radar? You know, you can call up somebody and be like, hey, like, you know, I'll work for free, like whatever, which is cool. Like I support that. But just know that, like, you're not helping that person by doing that, because now that person has to work to figure out what to do with you. You know what I mean? Are you
bringing any type of value?
Yeah, like, what are you bringing to the table, right? Like, I would say a different thing that you could do is try to find something that person does where you know it requires work on their behalf to pull off what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And literally put together a whole plan. And I know this sounds like a lot, but like this is in my opinion, do the work for them.
For sure.
And show up with that work already done and be like, hey, I noticed that this was something that you do, and I just wanted to propose this idea. I spent this much time. I figured this thing out for you. Let me execute this thing that I've already done for you. You don't have to put any thought into it. I've already figured this thing out. And that person is more likely to say, wow, this person is actually like an executor. You know, there's like, I have Walker tattooed on my hand. You know, people are like, oh, what is that, your dog's name? I'm like, no, I'm a fucking Walker. Like, I got it real close. Like, I see it all the time. You know, like, talk is bullshit, right? Like, you know, walking is what actually gets you from point A to point B, you know, and so when you can show that you're a walker, you know, like, strategists are great, you know what I'm saying? But like, you need people to execute on strategy. You know what I mean? Like, it takes more time to just, like, if somebody hands you like an idea,
cool, now you know, I have to read it.
Yeah, like, it's like, you know, there's got to be, you know, in hiring for my company, like, it's you know, we're doing well, but we're still a very small little company. And, you know, when I interview people, if they even say the word strategy, I'm like, not gonna work. Like, you just gotta, like, you know, I need people to roll up their sleeves, because you better.
I'm an executor.
Yeah, like, that's it. I am a sniper. Like, I want you to say I'm a sniper.
Sniper, I like that.
I'm a sniper. You know, like, go into an interview, and I'm not saying be cocky,
of course,
but walk in and just say, hey, I'm a sniper. I'm going to quietly and efficiently get the job done for you. I'm not going to ask for resources. I'm going to do the job quietly and efficiently.
Yeah, I wish people, sorry to cut you off. I just was like thinking when he said that, because like, that's how I've always been when I walk into a company. I've gotten jobs, right? And I got a job, and then I would always quietly work my way to the top, because I showed up on time, early, worked late, never asked for overtime, never asked for anything. I just worked because that's what the program taught me to do. And then the next thing you know, I was, you know, an owner of, you know, Hope by the Sea. And then it's like all you can do is execute. You've got to get into action. You know, and I feel like a lot of time that's what's missing a bit,
especially in the younger
generation. Yeah. Is that you don't get, see, in my generation, you don't get paid until you've more than provided your value to that people. A lot of times people come in, they want the value for I'll work harder if you give me more money. That's just it's not. And if anybody ever says that, it's just not true. You will not. You will work as hard as you work, period, whether you're getting paid $5 an hour or $50 an hour. Your work ethic is your worth ethic, not based on the amount of money you make per hour.
Right. And also, what I like to say is, if I'm interviewing somebody for a role and they're like, yeah, this is what I need to make, my response back is, okay, you want to make 200 grand a year? I'll pay you 500. Show me how you're going to make that money. Show me how you are going to pay for your salary at the company. Because I'll pay you $1 million. Show me how you're going to pay for yourself.
Yep.
I can't lose money on you. So if you're not prepared with a response, sure. Okay, this is exactly what I'm going to do. This is exactly how I'm going to pay for my salary plus. You know, because like if you can show any smart business owner that is interviewing for like a relatively higher position, you know, you're having these conversations, 150 grand, 200 grand. And I'm like, damn, that's a lot of dough. But I'm happy to pay for it all day, you know? Like I'm learning about the direct to consumer packaged goods business for the first time, right? Sure. And people are like, okay, you know, you should try podcasts. Like you should, sure. You should try to advertise on podcasts. And I'm like, all right, like, you know, let me figure, like, I'm going to sort of test the waters and see how it goes, you know, and like to advertise on like Andrew Huberman or something like that.
Sure.
You know, I think it's a $55,000 ad read.
For one?
For one. And
damn, Huberman, yeah. You making that long dough.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. And I would imagine that Rogan's in the same kind of.
Oh, for sure.
You know, maybe even more.
Seeding. Oh no, for sure.
I feel like if you did advertise on Rogan, one, you might have to spend a bit, but man, the return on investment.
So that's what I'm saying.
Really
that's what I'm
good.
saying.
Yeah.
Like that. So these people can warrant that because, you know, at first you're like, damn, that's a lot
sure.
of money to have a guy or a gal read something from a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. But if that money returns itself 10x,
well, that's the
I'll
thing.
do it all day.
I mean, I'll do it. Like I'll spend $1 million to make $2 million. Like if I know, like, you know, I'll spend $1 million on a 2x return.
Easy.
I mean, I'd be stupid. I would be stupid not to, right?
Right. Like, why wouldn't you? But like, I think it's scary when you think, oh my gosh, you know, like,
well, what if you do pay that 50 grand to Joe Rogan and you get zero?
And that can happen too. And I experienced that. Sure. You know, I got some not, you know, the greatest advice, and you know, I was told to like, yeah, you got to do, you know, if you're going to get into the world of podcasts, you really got to test. You really got to test. You got to do comedy. You got to do news. You got to do entertainment. You got to do wellness. You got to do fitness, you know. And, you know, and I learned, right? Like, I think with podcasts, for the most part, you really want to advertise on a podcast that has a super targeted audience, right? Like the Mind Pump guys.
Oh, super great one.
Those dudes, they had me on the show. I hit it off with them really well. They love the product. Mm-hmm. They are like massive consumers of Meal One. And after that show, they were like, all right, dude, we're investing in the business. Like, boom, just like that. Wow. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And so then I was like, well, I'm going to give that money right back to you. You know, I was like, you invest it. Great. Here it is right back. You got your equity plus the money back. Let's go on an advertising sort of run with you guys. Mm-hmm. And my God, like at first I was scared about spending that kind of money.
Yeah.
But my God, was that an amazing decision to make? Like those guys, the return on that was just incredible. You know, there's a woman that has been a supporter of ours from day one. And she was the co-founder and CEO of the Whole30.
Oh, okay.
And her name is Melissa. And early on, this really great advisor I had was like, you should just send Melissa some stuff, you know?
Smart.
And we did. And Melissa, like, she loved it. She called it her favorite CPG product of 2022. And I was like, wow. And like, I didn't, you know, she did that just on the strong arm. She just like did it. Mm-hmm. And like things just went, wow. And I was like, wow. And so I connected with her and I was like, hey, like, and she was like, yeah, you know, it's going to cost this much dough. Sure. And in early days, I was like, phew, that's like, you know, and my God, it was the greatest investment, you know, because, you know, you think about, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's a gambling game. You know,
it is.
Like, I just know in the restaurant industry, it's a really hard business, but there's only one thing you got to do well. You got to do as close to perfect as possible. And it's simple. The guest has to be just a little bit happier on the way out than they were on the way in. And that's what I told the team. So I'm like, guys, here's the deal. All we got to do is make sure that every person that walks out the door is just a little bit happier than when they walk in.
And that's with customer service, right? And then hopefully you have a decent food product and, you know, a little bit of alcohol sometimes for, you know, the people that do drink. With me, you don't need the alcohol. With me, just be nice. Like, I'll go to a place that has shittier food that has great, because the people know my name. Yep. They like me.
That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. Customer and it's service. You know, and I've had partners in the world of restaurants and people that worked on the team, you know, and it's, you know, it's a tough margin game, you know what I mean? Like, hard to make money. And so they lead with the money. They lead with the P&Ls, and they lead with the spreadsheets. And I'm like, hey guys, here's the deal. Like, I'm a dummy. I'm not afraid to say it. Like, you put me in front of a spreadsheet, you ask me to build out a model, I'm just going to look you point blank and I'm like, I'm not the guy. Like, it'll take me 2 weeks to do what you can do in 2 days or 2 hours. Like, it's just a straight up truth. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not that guy.
Got to fucking YouTube the damn how to work the Google worksheet, all that.
So, you know, but I said to these guys that are just like, you know, he's got to work on paper. And I just know in my heart, like, yo, man, on paper, I'm supposed to be dead. On paper, I'm supposed to be a violent, aggressive father. On paper, I'm supposed to be an abusive husband. On paper, I'm not supposed to have the life that I have. Mm-hmm. So I know that paper, you know,
it's just a piece of paper that you can throw in the trash.
And so I would say to these guys, I'd be like, hey, man, let me just put it into perspective for you. You lead with the money, and you put fear in the staff about the money. If you think for 1 second that a guest has ever walked in the door of this restaurant and looked around and was like, man, I wonder what the P&L looks like in this place. I'm like, that never happened once. That never happened one time. I promise you, no one has ever thought that. I wonder what the balance sheet is in here. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm so curious. Like, that's never going to dictate somebody's experience. Lead with the experience. And I think this is where a lot of restaurants fail, because it's hard to make money. But if you put all of the energy, not into the customers or the guests, you put all the energy into the team, you know? And I used to use this analogy too. I was like, hey man, do you think that, like, in the locker room of the Kansas City Chiefs, before they go out onto the field, the head coach is like, all right, guys, we got to make the fans happy. It's all about the fans. I don't give a fuck what you do. All you got to do is just make them happy. Hell no. They don't talk about the fans. They're like, you guys are the best. We are going to go out there and crush. We are going to kill it. We are going to mop the floor with that team. And those guys come out and they perform. And guess what? The fans are on their feet. I did the same thing in the restaurant. I thought of myself as a head coach. And I'd be like, you guys are the fucking best. You guys are everything. We go out there. We are going to give it to them as good as we can. We are going to give them the greatest experience, period. Because you guys are the ticket. You guys are the tool. And that's when I learned that the team is by far and away. The customer is not first. They're just not. Because if the team is fired up and the team is stoked, the customer is just going to be on their feet, standing ovation every time. They're just going to be, yes. They're going to tell all their friends, man, I went to this restaurant. This person sat down they sat down at the table. They sat down and started talking to us. He put his hand on my shoulder. Like, they were so kind and they were so invested. They knew the menu. You know, that's what it is, you know. And I think you can apply that to any business. Yeah. You know.
I agree.
Yeah, customer service. Customer and that becomes customer service because of how the team is. If the team's happy, then it just trickles down from there.
Totally. Totally.
I definitely have never been a fear monger. I would rather like command respect than demand respect. You know? And commanding respect means that you're giving respect to everybody.
Totally.
Yeah, man, that's been a really good podcast.
I love
Crushed it. Where do we find where do we find this product? This is direct to consumer?
Yeah, it's direct to consumer, so it's only on our website until we launch Amazon, which is coming up here soon, but it's creaturesofhabit.com with a K, and you know, it's a simple product, but it literally covers all the bases, you know. I think a lot of people struggle with getting protein in the morning, and you know, if you're not prioritizing protein in your nutrition, like
especially women,
should be throwing this stuff out to all of my clients that are in rehab.
Something super easy. Like I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Well, I'm gonna send you guys a whole bunch, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so creaturesofhabit.com, at Creatures of Habit on you know, all the interwebs, all the social medias, and then at Michael Chernow is kind of where to follow me. And
yeah, I think I found you off of I think I saw you through Insta, obviously was the platform, and it was, I think you were doing a talk and you were running, and I was like, I like this dude. I like this dude.
Is that how you came about?
I mean, that's how I knew of him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Shit works. Put it out there.
It does.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, hey, the one thing that Gary Vee always says is content. The more content you put out, the more you're flooding the social media streams. Don't go back and look and see how many people have liked or commented on your shit. Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Joe Rogan says post and ghost.
Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story, you know.
Totally.
I gotta go back and read my comments. They're all mostly addicts.
I mean, everybody does, regardless. Like as much as like you try to stray, you're going to read your some of your comments, because sometimes the audience that you are posting to, you want to comment back to them as well. Yeah, and so like, and we answer a lot of our own, like especially on the Hopeaholics page, the boys do answer our DMs, because obviously it's a life or death what we're doing out here, you know, as well as what you're doing as well. But you tell, like combining the two, you know, what you do on a daily basis, but also now you're combining your passion to make a living, but also it's what you do on a day-to-day basis, which I think is like the best of both worlds, and makes it authentic to your consumer as well, because you're actually like living what you're selling, essentially.
Totally.
So with the post and ghost, it's like it's good because you can obviously get caught up in like mental health issues if you're being like cuckoo crazy about it, but also it's good to create a relationship with your community that you're also trying to reach.
Totally. I mean, I think community is everything, you know. I mean, especially coming from the world of restaurants, like it's hard to get people off their ass and into the store, right? It's just tough. And so like if you're not taking initiative to genuinely develop community in the restaurant, you kind of flop quick, you know. And so I've kind of tried to parlay that into Creatures of Habit. And I was struggling to try to fill that, like try to find a way to do that in the brand. And then I figured it out. And I basically, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I sit down at my desk for 3 hours and I open up my Shopify store and I just start at the top of the orders and I just call everyone. I just call them and I'm like, hey, I'm the founder of the company. And I just want to thank you. I want to introduce myself. I want to thank you.
That's so smart.
Yeah, and you know, I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of people, you know, and I've spoken to so many people.
And you know what that does? You receive that phone call and you're like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden they get off the phone and then immediately they call their friend or whatever. And they're like, Betty, can you believe this? Guess who just called me because I made a purchase? Unbelievable. This company's everything.
And that's what happens.
That's fire.
You know, and then on top of that, like, because that definitely happens. But on top of that, like, I get to hear their stories.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And like, you know, this is, look, we all know that people have been eating oatmeal forever,
totally.
right? Like, so I'm not like
reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I've just optimized it beyond anyone that's ever done it before. Like, it's really an optimized product. But I get to talk to like people in their 60s, that are like, hey, I can't believe you're calling me. I want to just share with you, like, I started using Meal One a year ago. This is an actual story. I started using Meal One a year ago, and I was obese. And a guy that works at my job, a young guy who's fit, gave me a package of your oatmeal and just told me to eat it every day. And that was about a year ago. And I'm down to 180 pounds. The dude lost over 100 pounds.
Nice.
5'6", dude, in his 60s, lost 100 pounds. He told me his cholesterol was 240. His cholesterol is now 180 or 170. Something crazy like that. He's off his statins, and wow. he's just like, dude, he's like, you changed my life, and I can't believe that you're calling me. And like, I hear stories like that, and I'm just like, my God, like, you don't know what you don't know until you start getting out there and ask, and so that's been the way that I've been able to bring the hospitality to the biz. And I speak to somebody that's ordering oatmeal from this thing. And now I've got them for life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Life.
In like a real way. It's not, at first my partner at the company was like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, you're going to spend time calling customers? Like, you think that's a good use of your time? And I was like, I think that's the best use of my time.
Super smart.
I think it's the best use of my time. The name of the game is community, man. Like, what better way to build community than actually to ask them to show that you're interested in their life? People want that. People want that, so.
Because when they get off the phone, what do they feel? They feel better.
Totally.
And then the word of mouth is the best way to grow your community, grow your brand, and grow that loyalty to that brand. That when people are just shooting the shit and having a conversation and they're talking about whatever it may be, movies, things going on, that's a story that someone's going to tell.
And you know what's real crazy? All three of us, at one point, we're absolutely out of our minds crazy and deep in the hole of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy. Like, imagine, and I used to think about this sometimes in an AA meeting. I used to think about just like, imagine someone just walked in and flipped the switch, and everybody that's in this room right now that's super loving and caring and sharing about their lives, all of a sudden got taken to the day before they got sober. What do you think would happen in that room, dude? Like,
zoo animals.
Yeah. We're
messes.
We're lucky. We're so lucky.
We are lucky.
Blessed.
We're the fortunate ones.
So lucky. So many people don't give it the amount of time. Like,
sure.
Right before you think it's not working for you, I promise you, just get to bed sober. Just say, fuck it. I'm gonna get my head to the bed sober.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it. Like,
just one more day.
One more day. You're going on a long run for the first time. You're going on a long run. Like, I I always think of myself when I'm like going for a long run and I'm tired of shit. I'm like, I'm running to that pole. All right, I get to that pole. I'm running to that pole. I get to that pole. I'm like, I'm running to that pole. It's the same shit with sobriety, right? It's just like, run to the next pole. It's all good. Just get to the next pole.
And if you're having a bad day, sometimes, especially early on in my sobriety, my brother, my oldest brother, he gave me this nugget. He's like, that's cool. Just root for midnight. That's it.
Root for midnight. Yes. Yeah.
And then you're in a new day.
Yeah.
Totally.
But congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome,
it's
man.
really
This is
cool.
so much fun.
But yeah. And your story is just another testament of the beautiful promises that do come true in an individual's life if they go ahead and get out of the driver's seat. Because once we start thinking that we ain't it, we are definitely not it at all.
We're not
so
it.
Once you step that aside and you do the work that is required, obviously, look what can happen. It's a beautiful thing. So
Still can't believe it,
Yeah.
Still can't believe it.
Your story is powerful.
Man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you so
having me,
much.
guys. Awesome.